Have you ever felt frustrated, like because your marriage isn't turning out the way that you'd always hoped or expected? I know a lot of people have. My guess is that when you got married, right, you were deeply in love and you loved each other and had dreams for this married life together, and that was all good. It was all roses. But then after being married for some time, things didn't quite turn out as you'd hoped or as you'd expected, and you became a little disappointed with that and a little frustrated, slightly discouraged, and things just continued to go on, like that. And maybe you found yourself thinking things like, man, I'm just a little disappointed in my marriage. This isn't what I signed up for in the first place, or, my wife's not the woman that I married. I mean, she's become someone completely different, or someone that you had hoped she would be different. And maybe over time, your feelings of love have dwindled, and maybe it feels more like a domestic relationship than it does a domestic arrangement, than it does an intimate marriage relationship, and that's got you frustrated and you struggle with all of this. Well, let me just say, you're not alone. A lot of people feel this way. It's quite common, in fact. And the reason why it's quite common is because we've come to believe lies about what marriage really is all about. I want to share just 3 myths that we've come to believe about marriage, and then 3 truths that actually counteract those myths and deal with the lies in that. The first myth, and one of the most common, is that we expect our wife to remain the same woman that we married, right? We expect our wife to be the same woman that we married. It's just not true, because people change, right? We know this. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. I mean, chances are you're a very different person today than you were when you got married. That's normal. That's life. Your wife is the same. She's going to change with life stages and life circumstances and whatnot over time. I knew a guy who said that he would talk about his wife as like he's been married to 4 different women without ever getting a divorce or separation. Initially he was married to the career woman, and then they started a family, and so then he was married to the mother who was raising a family, and then she went back to school and worked towards getting a doctorate, and so he was married to a student, and now she's a professor. And so he talks about these 4 different significant stages, so 4 different women essentially it's inevitable. So that's the truth, is people are always going to change. The myth we believe is the person you marry is the person is who they're going to be. They're not going to change. It's just not true. It's a lie. So why would we impose that on our spouse? The truth is people do change, because of life circumstances and stages of life. This is just part of growing and maturing as a person. And the same is true for you as it is your spouse, as it is your wife. So that's the truth. People will change, and to free people up and expect that is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. What's required from us, though, the action step for us in that, is to discover new ways to love and appreciate and value her in those new stages as she grows, and continue to discover who she is becoming on the journey. So instead of imposing these false expectations and this lie upon her, it becomes an adventure, a lifelong romancing of continually trying to pursue her and discover new ways that speak greater love to her as she grows and changes in marriage. That's what this marriage relationship is really all about. That's a great way to keep things fresh, is to celebrate those changes and to discover anew again and again and again who your wife's becoming. I think another myth that we often buy into and believe is that since our marriage has not turned out perfectly, then maybe it was never meant to be in the first place. And we think that, hey, because this is what I expected it to be, all of a sudden it's not that, so we might as well just can it and give up completely. Because we start feeling more and more distant from each other, and we think, man, it's time to just throw in the towel. I want to say the exact opposite, actually. The truth is, it's time to pick up the towel. Because the truth is, marriage takes work. So the lie we want to believe is, just because it didn't turn out the way we'd hoped it to, it was never meant to be. I want to say, no. All marriage takes work. All marriage takes responsibility on our part. We've got to work at it. That's what marriage relationships are really all about. See, just like love is more than just a feeling, it's a choice. Same with marriage. Marriage is a commitment to another person. It's a commitment that's more than a feeling, to work on your marriage. So spend time with your wife, identifying those stress points on your marriage and those places that cause pressure and stress, and then take steps to minimize or eliminate them altogether. Doing this together is a great way to do it, and starts bringing you back together on the same page, so long as you can do it in a healthy way. But try doing something to just serve your wife. Something unexpected, something unannounced, something that would just speak so much love and value to her, and just do that, and as a gesture, as putting action to your words as well, to say, no, I'm really committed to you, and I'm not going anywhere, and I'm committed to working on our relationship and making this thing work. Which, even though it's not going to be easy, let me just encourage you, it will be worth it. Which really leads us to the third myth. The third lie that we often believe, and that's that perhaps I'm the only one that's feeling this disappointment, so I need to just get over it, right? So that's the lie we believe, because maybe I'm just the only one who's feeling this, so I just need to get over it and just deal with it and move on. Chances are your wife feels the same way. Chances are you're not the person today that she thought she married, way back when. Chances are marriage hasn't turned out the way that she had expected it and dreamed it to always be either. And so maybe she has some of those unmet expectations and some of those own frustrations herself going on. So the truth is that there was, and I'm confident there still is, something that drew you together in the first place. Something that you really love and admire and appreciate about each other, that's still true today. And you need to work to discover those and identify those and build upon those things. And as you spend time focusing your attention and sharing conversation around those kind of things, I think it's going to put you on the same page, rather than focusing all your attention on the things that irritate you and bother you about your spouse. I think those things are going to bring you together, and it's going to be healthy and loving. It's going to rekindle, some of that love again, I think. And again, the simple fact of sharing this, that marriage hasn't turned out the way in which you'd hoped, and if your wife responds by saying the same thing, it's laying a common ground upon which you can then build. But let me just give a word of warning on this third one. To be careful not to get so hung up on the causes or reasons for your disappointment. See, that just is going to lead to explosions, right? I mean, that's just going to allow things to deteriorate quite quickly, and it'll become more conflict oriented. So we don't want to be blaming or accusing or labeling or anything like that. Let's focus more on the positive, on the conversation of which you hope to experience in marriage going forward, rather than focusing too much attention on the past. How do we move forward? How do we, build the marriage now that we do hope for and do dream for? And how do we build that together? And create then an environment where that kind of a conversation can flow with energy and with passion, and it be a really healthy conversation. And that's probably going to take some work on your part, right? To remove distractions. So you don't want to do it on the couch with the TV still on, with the kids around, or with unfinished chores or kitchen, stuff in the kitchen that needs to be done. So just remove distractions so that the conversation can be focused and you're not distracted by other things. Then I'd say create a safe environment for that conversation to happen. And the way in which we do that is so often through our tone of voice, our body language, making good eye contact. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that communicates that this is a safe place and I'm genuine and I'm serious about this happening. So we don't want to come with an aggressive tone of voice, but a gentle and soft, caring tone of voice. We want to have an open body posture, body language that communicates an openness and a genuineness, where we're not arms folded and saying I'm closed and difficult. And then make it fun if you can, by having, some music, or turn it into a date night, conversation where you have it as a date, whether you go out or even if you stay home, and make it a date night at home after the kids are in bed or whatever it might be. But in the midst of it, let me encourage you to reflect back those things that you are hearing your wife say to you. Even repeat word for word what you heard her say, just so that she knows you're actually really listening and hearing the things that she's sharing. That communicates so much value and respect and trust. And then feel free to invite that from her. If you want to make sure that you're being heard accurately and things aren't getting misunderstood and miscommunicated, to just invite her to reflect back and say back to you those things that she heard you say, just to ensure that communication stays clear. It's not going to result in further conflict and whatnot. Because see, at the end of the day, you may not end up with the marriage that you were expecting or hoping for on your wedding day. And that's okay. Chances are those expectations were unrealistic and immature to begin with. But what is possible is for you and your wife together to communicate and discover and dream of a marriage that you can share the excitement and thrill of exploring together and building together and moving forward together in that. And I'm convinced that you can really experience a great, intimate, close, joy-filled marriage. And I really do hope for that to be true for you and for your wife. Hi there, my name's Clint, and if you found this video that you just watched helpful or valuable, then go to the website below where you'll find a whole video series dealing with the pressures and collisions that we often experience between work and family and ourselves, and how to stay, healthy and all of that. And through, we've identified 9 of the most common collisions where, work and family collide, and how to deal with some of those things. We'll talk about how to become better at what you do in your job so that you earn those promotions and make extra money. We'll talk about how to have an open and honest and loving relationship with your wife that actually makes it feel like she's on the same team as you rather than constantly fighting and working against you, and how to have a fun-filled relationship with your kids that's full of warmth and laughter and great memories, while also staying healthy as a person and enjoying good times with your mates and with your friends as a person as well. So go to the website below and you'll find out more about it.